Hello everyone, my name is Alex. I'll be the Work Health Safety Advisor facilitating the session. I have with me Nathan, who will be the captain in charge, and also have Helen, who will be playing the role of the Work Health Safety Manager. So we'll begin. Welcome everyone, thank you for coming to this meeting to go through our Work Health Safety report and for any recommendations and feedback. I appreciate your time. I've sent through copies of the policy as well as the report for your viewing, and I printed out copies which you have with you. So without, we'll get started with reviewing the report together, if that's okay. So I would love you guys to flip to page 8 of the report. This is just the compliance matters that we've identified as being an issue. So here at Plan to Go, I found out that we're non-compliant with two matters. Matter one being we don't actually have a formal documented worker induction for work health safety, and matter two being our work health safety hazard identification and incident reporting procedure is also not compliant in terms of incident notification. So with matter one, in terms of the non-compliance, I identified that the Work Health Safety Act, Section 28, which is about the key responsibilities of the person conducting a business or undertaking, also known as the PCBU, to include that information there. And Work Health Safety Regulations 2017, Section 39. This one's about the PCBU requiring work health safety training to be available and conducted with all workers. I've also included the Safe Work New South Wales worker capability, which just provides a lot of good information about induction and training, and the Work Health Safety Act 2011 Section 19, which just outlines the primary duty of care that it belongs to the PCBU. For matter two, review of the Work Health Safety Hazard Incident Report Procedure, I've included Section 19 of the Act, which outlines the PCBU's responsibility. Flip on to the next page. I've also included the Part 3 of the Act, which is about the timely manner to report incidents. So this one is about notifiable incidences and that it needs to be reported to the regulator. And I've also included the Safe Work Australia's Incident Notification Information Sheet. So this information sheet summarises the key requirements of incident notification, and it also includes examples of illnesses following an incident, so it's really important information. So that's what I've put in our compliance report. Did you two have any questions about that?
No, that is fair.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. And look, I've also included a part for needing to find potentially a lawyer. Obviously work health safety can be quite complex, so I think I've done a good job in getting the compliance report set up, but if we do require expert advice in any complex matter, I'll put instructions that we can contact a solicitor that specialises in work health safety through the Law Society of New South Wales Solicitor Referral Service. Any questions about that aspect?
That's good.
Okay, great. Now, the first matter we'll go through is matter one, where we don't have a formal induction. So I've just outlined a table for each subtopic and sections that we want, parts we want to include for the inductions. The first one is to provide advice about the work health safety duties, rights and obligations. So I wanted to include Section 28 of the Act. Basically, this part of the section outlines all the obligations and responsibilities that a worker has within the PCBU in the organisation. That they must take reasonable care of their own health and safety, as well as ensure that their conduct or omissions don't adversely affect other workers. So that's what I plan to include. Did you have any feedback or would you change anything?
No, seems fine.
Okay, great. And the next part of the induction, internal sources of information. which describe their work health safety duties, rights and obligations. So for this part, I wanted to include plan to go staff intranet and teach them how to access the work health safety policies and procedures on the intranet, go through the documents, how to access it, and ensure they know where to go to get this internal information. Any suggestions? Do we need to change this, or are you happy with that part?
Oh, that's fine.
That's good.
Yeah, you happy with that? Okay, excellent. The next part of induction is to provide a summary of the functions and powers of the regulator and how an inspector can interact with the workplace. So for this part, I wanted to include section 152 of the Act. So this is basically what powers an inspector has. So I want to go through all of our new staff. Firstly, what the inspector can do in the organisation. So that way they can be prepared to interact with them if needed. And I'll also include Safe Work New South Wales as being the state regulator for within our jurisdiction. Did you have any suggestions, or would you want to adjust anything for this part of the induction, Captain in charge?
No, actually, seems
Happy
fine.
with that?
Yeah, seems
And
fine.
how would you?
Not at this stage.
Oh, excellent. Now the next one is how workers can assist in assessing and maintaining workplace compliance with work health safety legislative requirements. Now for this part, I wanted to include in the induction that workers can assist with workplace compliance by complying with their own duty to take reasonable care, so section 28 of the Act. So I wanted to include that they just need to ensure that they take reasonable care of themselves and ensure their acts don't affect others adversely. The other thing I wanted to also include is to advise our workers in the induction that they need to ensure that their work area is safe, and if there are hazards, to report them as per the procedure. Do you want to any suggestions or change anything in that induction part, or are you happy with that?
No, it should be fine.
Yeah, and work health safety manager, you're happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now the last topic in the induction is ways workers might raise issues and or communicate recommendations to achieve work health safety legal compliance. So for this one, I wanted to include in the induction that workers can formally raise work health safety concerns and issues through our hazard and incident reporting procedure, as is our formal way of reporting hazards and near misses. Other ways I wanted to include was that they can communicate with the line manager, contact the health safety representative, who can then provide them direction on this. Was there anything else you wanted to add in this part of the induction?
Is there a possibility of maybe, some of our younger team members go into the digital age, something that's electronic or
Like an app type feature?
possibly?
Yeah, I can include. I know with Safe Work, there's a Safe Work app that they can do anonymous reporting. I mean, it's about promoting safety culture. So we can include that in our induction. I'll note that down
Yep, sounds good.
to add the app as part of it. Alright, perfect. Well, that's the part 1 compliance. Thank you for your feedback for that. We'll now go through our part, our policy and procedure report. So if you go to page page 14 and 15, there should be a landscape table. And this is, I've also printed a copy of the current report procedure. Now I've gone through this procedure against the Act and regulations to check if it's compliant or not, and unfortunately it's not compliant. I'll tell you what it is compliant with. So it is compliant with section 19, 3C, 3F and 3G of the Act. As this part of the section of the Act requires that we maintain a document and ensure that it is, excuse me, do you mind turning off that, manager? So as I was saying, it is compliant with section 19. And my recommendations that, given that the procedure is expected to be read and followed by all staff that plan to go, is I would recommend that the procedure include an example. So if you look at the procedure, we have the incident report form that's blank. My suggestion to make it more easier for our workers to utilise is if we have a completed example of the procedure. And we go through all of our workers on how to complete this form. Is that something that sounds good with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it, so that sounds good.
Yeah, so look, my proposition is just to do maybe a 30-minute session going through that, the reporting procedure and how to fill out the form correctly, obviously because we need to maintain accurate records. That would be my only recommendation for that. Now, the main issue with the policy and the procedure is that it doesn't include notifiable incidents. So part 3 of the Act, sections 35 to 39, basically outlines that a PCBU has a duty to notify the regulator of any notifiable incidences. That being a death, serious illness or injury, or a dangerous incident. And the Act provides examples of what those are. So at the moment, our policy doesn't include that information. So to make it compliant, we would need to add a section about notifiable incidences, including what it is and our obligations of fulfilling those requirements. There's also a part about us needing to retain documents for a minimum of 5 years, so to include that in our procedure. So my proposition is that we include that in the procedure, and that once we do that, that this new information that we should upload it in the intranet and distribute it to all the staff and have a meeting to go through the new procedure with all of our staff members. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good, yeah.
Do you have any suggestions or recommendations for that? Of my plan for the procedure?
When it's stored for 5 years, it's going to be in hard copies or electronic?
Yeah, so at the moment the form is a hard copy because we got to fill it out and they'll submit it to either to myself or one of the workforce safety officers or the line manager. It'll be their responsibility to file that away. So in terms of how we're going to maintain documents, those completed forms, that would have, firstly we would scan them and save it onto our intranet in a secure folder and retain them for a minimum period of 5 years. And the hard copies be filed away in a lockable filing cabinet.
Sure.
Again, for a minimum period of 5 years. Yeah, any other questions?
So, is this your report in its entirety?
It is, yeah.
So, what is the cost to us as a PCBU putting our staff through all this training and getting us all compliant? What's the cost factor involved, the time factor?
Well, look,
what's your scheduling?
In terms of the cost factor, it's basically staff hours. So we're going to have to look. In my training, I've estimated 30 minutes session with each staff, so it's only a 30-minute out of the one day to go through the report form and how to complete it correctly. In my opinion, it's invaluable because it ensures that our staff actually know, or our workers know, how to complete the form correctly. In case we do get audited by Safe Work New South Wales, we'll have, very accurate records. So cost factor wise, it's basically work hours. Is what I forecast. Are you happy with that, Captain in Charge?
And how long do you think it'll take to take the whole staff through?
Look, we're going to do it by crew sections. So we'll do one crew at a time. I'm aiming for maybe 1 week time frame per crew as a minimum. And look, again, it's only a 30-minute session, and it's with that crew team, and there's only about maximum 5 people per crew. So time wise, we should be able to get that done in, I would say, less than a month to have this rolled out.
Okay, that's good.
Any other questions?
No, it sounds easy enough.
Great. Well, the last thing I have to just go through with you guys, and look, firstly, thank you so much for your time and giving me that feedback and recommendations. I'll adjust those. The only last thing is the compliance document records. How will they be kept and maintained? I propose that the policy, obviously, is going to stay on our staff intranet. At the moment, it's being reviewed every 1 year. In my opinion, I think 1 year is fine as a start off for reviewing the document. and it'll be kept on staff intranet. So that's my proposal for this. Did you have any suggestions on that?
So are we looking at the storage of documents?
We're talking about the policy, how we're going to maintain this once we finalise it with the modifications, how we're going to store it and ensure that it's complied. I suggest it stays on the internet, reviewed every year to make sure it's compliant with the Act and regulations. Are we happy with that?
I mean, in the event if they change their regulations within that year, it will still be
Yeah.
compliant, or how does that work?
Well, it would be as a needed base. So it's a minimum 1 year review
Mm-hmm.
where we do a total review of the document. But obviously, if we have a major incident or there's changes in the rules or legislation, we would
Review
it. Yeah. So we'll be subscribing to the Safe Working So Well's newsletter. But it's a minimum 1 year, and I think that should be sufficient.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, great. In terms of the induction documents, obviously we would induct all our current workers and all our new workers, and those records I suggest that we keep them, saved on our staff intranet in a secure folder, and we keep that in as per our data retention policy, but for as long as possible, as it shows proof that we've inducted staff in work health safety. Should there be an incident or should there be an audit by Safe Work?
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy with
Yes.
how we're going to follow that? All right, excellent. Well, what I will do is I will go ahead and make the necessary modifications, and I'll send you guys a follow-up email. Thank you for attending the meeting once again.
Yeah, perfect. All good.
Thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you.